Vice Chancellor, Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, Pro-Vice Chancellor and Campus Principal, Professor Rosemary Bell-Antoine, members of the UWI St. Augustine Campus Council, specially invited guests. Good morning, and a warm welcome to all of you joining us for the annual business meeting of the UWI St. Augustine Campus Council. My name is Sharon Christopher, and I am the chair of the St. Augustine Campus Council. Whether you're here with us on campus or tuning in from afar, we are delighted to have you as part of this important gathering. As your Campus Council Chair, it is my privilege to begin today's proceedings, and I am looking forward to sharing with you the strides we have made over the past year. A year that has truly tested our resolve, but that has spotlighted our campus's steadfast dedication to excellence and innovation. Drawing inspiration from our campus principal's induction speech, this year's annual report, entitled Creating Change Together, is themed around unity and our collective drive towards transformative change. The challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic have undeniably accelerated our journey towards reimagining how we deliver education and manage our day-to-day operations. Yet, it is through these challenges that we have unearthed opportunities to grow stronger and more resilient. As a university, our academic offerings are evolving, embracing more flexible and technology-driven approaches that not only meet but exceed our students' expectations. This evolution ensures that education at our campus remains accessible, engaging, and relevant in today's fast-paced world. Similarly, our administrative processes are being transformed through digitization, enhancing both efficiency and access, a testament to our commitment to innovation. But what truly excites me is how we are responding creatively and entrepreneurially to the hurdles we face, from student enrollment to funding. By leveraging our research strength, we are not just navigating these challenges, we are turning them into avenues for societal benefit, developing commercial products that sustain our institution while making a tangible impact on the world around us. Embracing change is no small feat, and sustaining it is even more challenging. Yet, I am heartened by our concerted efforts to foster inclusivity within our society, changing attitudes one workplace and one student at a time. The UWI's initiatives aimed at engaging young minds in research and sciences, modern agricultural practices, nurturing entrepreneurship, and devising practical solutions to climate change are commendable. These efforts underscore our dedication, not just to advancing academic pursuits, but also to making a difference in solving real-world problems. So, as we move on to the presentations on this morning's agenda, I want to touch on a theme underscored by our campus principal in several fora: the importance of making the impact of our campus both seen and felt. The University of the West Indies has consistently been a silent force in our everyday lives, with research from our campus informing government policies, revolutionizing agricultural methods, influencing business strategies, shaping school curricula, refining teaching methodologies, and deepening our understanding of our history and identity. This influence, though often quiet, is profound, touching every aspect of our lives and communities. As we dive into this year's Campus Council annual meeting, I encourage you to follow along attentively, as you'll note this influence in the stories of significant achievements and accolades that our campus has earned in this past year. Council meetings are a fundamental aspect of the accountability of the UWI, and as council chair, my role is to provide over today's meeting in accordance with the university's statutes and ordinances. This morning, we will be given an account of the performance of the St. Augustine campus over the 2022 to 2023 academic year, Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine, Pro-Vice Chancellor and Campus Principal of St. Augustine, will present the annual report, following which Vice Chancellor Professor Sir Hilary Beckles will deliver a statement to the university community and viewing audience. Campus Registrar Dr. Dawn Marie Defoe-Gill will serve in the capacity of Secretary to guide the meetings. I thank you, and I now take the opportunity to welcome, before I do that, let me welcome the Honorable Minister of Education of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Nyam Gadsby Dolly. Welcome, Minister. It's a pleasure to have you with us. So I now take the opportunity to welcome Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine, Provost Vice Chancellor and Campus Principal of St. Augustine, to address you. Professor.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Minister. Such a pleasure to have you. And of course, our new PS Charles, Vice Chancellor, and all my colleagues at UWI. Good morning, everyone. And my task today is to give you some highlights. It's really just highlights of the rather large report that you will have access to, already have access to, in fact, together with my very hardworking deans who will also be joining me at the podium. I do invite you to read the actual report, including the introduction, the synopsis that I have given in that report, and we won't probably repeat some of the things in that introduction because it's so much that's happening on the campus. I think it might take us a couple of days to go through really lots of things happening. But as you have heard, there's a journey towards progress and innovation that we have undertaken, and we are looking at change and continuing the good work that we have done. So the friends that we have here today, our council members, for example, many of them new, and alumni and well-wishers, they are all part of the team, and so we present what we have done and what we hope to do. And we welcome diversity of ideas and working with our stakeholders to create solutions because we are, in fact, at a very difficult time in history. This is our mission, just to remind ourselves, and our core values. So our mission, knowledge, of course, fostering innovation, transformation being key to what the UWI, University of the West Indies, stands for from its very inception as a development tool in the region. Our core values: integrity, excellence, gender justice, diversity, student-centeredness, and financial sustainability. Looking at what's happening in teaching and learning, we have seen a decline in our figures, in enrollment figures. This, of course, is in tandem with a global and local trend. In fact, we have looked at the local perspective, and we note that I don't wish to glorify this in any way, but we are actually doing better than many of the other tertiary institutions here and certainly in the region. But all of us are experiencing, in fact, declines in enrollment, and it is a global trend as well. So, of course, for the undergraduate students, which is the bulk of our students, we've seen a drop by 8%. But it's not even. There are some faculties, law, which has a quota, which is we always oversubscribed in law, medical sciences as well, and sport saw increases, the biggest increase in sport, a new faculty, and food and agriculture declined by 21%. That's of concern to us, as I think it should be of concern both to the country and the region. We do need to attract more students out there to do agriculture. The good news, of course, as you will hear when Dean Woodavera speaks, is that we've seen increases in the postgrad and also increases in our collaborative efforts in relation to development and also in research. Humanities and education and social sciences also declined, as well as science and technology and engineering. Postgrad students, similarly, 8%. but there are some faculties that are showing growth. Law again, humanities and education, and happily, on this level, food and agriculture seeing growth. Engineering and social sciences, medical sciences, and the others did see a small decline of 6%. But our certificate courses, which are very short courses and more in terms, often more online types of courses, have in fact increased by 32%. These are some of the wins in terms of our graduate studies, our research mentoring, our graduate studies workshops, and our micro-credential accelerator program, which is very, very important for us, whereby you can bundle courses, and that can serve going forward as an avenue for further study at the university and elsewhere. We at the university have something called SETEL, and that is looking at teaching quality assurance, where we train our teachers and our lecturers. And we have seen some innovations here as well. It's already quite a splendid program and department. So we've launched the Settlings Teaching Innovation Studio and the One Button Studio OBS, which is used worldwide. It makes video production accessible to faculty members. And of course, at SETEL, it's not about just a fuddy-duddy type of teaching. All of the high-tech technologies and learning methodologies are there with SETEL. They're experts in their own right, and they help us to be cutting edge. We've had a dedicated space too, designed for pre-recorded lecturers, workshop live streams, podcasts, and so on. Student support, we've seen some great progress. The quality assurance review of our core curricular program, which is all of the various things that we think you need as a student and as a citizen of the region, all of those skills that we think we need to make you a better rounded person, that we have at the university, and we've made improvements there in terms of the resources, outreach, promotion, and public impact, even defensive driving, for instance, which has come on board and which is sorely needed in Trinidad and Tobago. We've also expanded it to include staff, the co-curricular program, and external students. And we've noted the most highly subscribed offerings are the Microsoft certifications, the public speaking, and the first aid. The Student Amenities Fund, which is one where we have asked over not such a long time this has been started, but where students pay a separate fee, and we use it specifically for improving the student experience and amenities. We did quite a lot. Every year we do a lot with this fund, and it's very visible. Replacing the gym equipment, upgrading our computer labs, the Wi-Fi system, expanding our counseling services with 4 new shuttle buses. We installed water coolers and appliances at the student residences, and 47 new benches. And we have a new car park on the way, incidentally. Some of the other things that were happening, the launch of the Eric Williams Memorial Library. Of course, we've had the honor to hold, in fact, that memorial collection from his daughter, Erica Williams, for a very long time. And our library has been a wonderful guardian to the collection. And now we have moving it to Knox Street in Port of Spain. Library services as well benefited from other important donations, and the UWI St. Augustine is the first port of call. Persons who have valuable resources, archives, and so on, we are entrusted with them. And some new ones, the Winston Dukran papers, the Smithers collection, the Sahadio Basdio collection, and the Lawrence Scott's Night Calypso archive. Lawrence Scott, of course, being one of our honorees last year. Here we have our student leaders, our past Guild President, Mr. Kobe Sandy, and our new Guild President, Ms. Aishwarya Maharaj, who's here with us this morning, right there at the end, smiling. These are some lovely photos of graduation, always a very joyous occasion for us. We were able to get back into our spec building with some portable ACs. I think this year we'll have the permanent ACs fixed. We finally got the funds for that. Thank you to the government of Trinidad and Tobago for that donation. And some more pictures here. We saw, in terms of the actual graduating class, a slight decrease. Of course, this was the first after COVID, by 3%, and a 2% decrease in graduates that actually crossed the stage. But on the good side, great news, 45 persons graduated with PhDs, which is the largest campus cohort in 4 years. Here you see our honorary graduates, Baroness Floella Benjamin, Arts, Excellence in Arts, Heather Hendley. If you're into Disney, you know who that is, great beacon for Trinidad and Tobago, and Lawrence Scott, our literary icon. Just to give you a taste of some of the new programs and curricula that emerged in the past year. We're always having new programs, sometimes replacing those that have become obsolete with more cutting-edge programs, more relevant programs to the society. So here we have the DM in Medical Microbiology, the BSc in Midwifery, the BSc in Disaster Risk Resilience for Agriculture and the Environment, very important. And importantly, we have seen a move towards having more blended programs. Sometimes we call it hybrid, or the CITEL tells us the correct term is high flux. So that's where we merge the online with the face-to-face in a variety of modalities. And we've seen, especially in the postgrad, a movement towards that. Some of them are listed here. This one is very exciting to me personally. The foreign language requirement that was finally introduced to the university and the campus beginning September 2022. We're very fortunate to have with us the Vice Chancellor, because it really was his brainchild, or I should probably say it was really his determination, because since I've known myself as an academic and perhaps as a student, they've been talking about having this, doing language and ensuring that we do languages, but we got it done. And so now all of our students in all of the UE are mandated to have some sort of foreign language. And I'm told, and it's noted here, that our language center, because we do have a center for language learning, and they have launched 3-credit courses in Mandarin, Chinese, Japanese, French, and Spanish, and it's actually oversubscribed. So students are really excited about this, and it will, of course, serve them in great stead in their future careers. Some more examples of new curricula in medicine, in chemistry, importantly introducing digital tools for self-directed learning, Department of Computing, looking at industry recommendations, and medical radiation science diploma from the Department of Physics. Our Faculty of Agriculture, although we want us and the country to do better in terms of the undergraduate program to attract more students, we want to note how much tremendous work, wonderful work that the faculty is doing in terms of research and in terms of working with the government, regional organizations, and international organizations, especially looking at things like food security and sustainability generally. So these are some examples, and Dean will talk more about it when he gets his chance. So collaborating with USAID to offer expertise in these areas to 750 local farmers, partnering with the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service for the Professional Certificate in the Shade House program. So let's look a little bit at research and scholarship. And we've listed some here, but then some others we list a little later on when I talk to you about revenue generation, because we treat research very much these days. When we look at it, we want to see when we do research, not only that it's relevant to our community, but we look to see whether we can generate revenue from it or get funding from it. So we've sort of separated the presentation. So we look at some of the pure research here, targeting regional imperatives. And here you have just an idea of the funding that we've attracted from the hard work of our colleagues in the various faculties and units. And as you can see, there's a total of 41 new research projects. Of course, there would have been those that were ongoing, which we're not adding here, and over $106 million in research funding, which is really a tremendous achievement, I think. And so it continues to be that the campus and its scholars are able to come up with research projects that are deserving of funding. And these are some of the entities that we are partnering with in terms of research projects: Ministry of Youth, Development and National Service, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the United Mexican States. That's, of course, to do with our geospatial project. Food and Agriculture, FAO, University of Edinburgh, Imperial College, IDB, Royal Society, and so on. Many, many. We just listed a few here. We can't have a council without boasting about our deep sea worm. The first named in honor of our Professor Judith Gobin from the Faculty of Science and Technology for her contributions to marine biodiversity. And she's the first local scientist to have a deep sea species named after her. Life sciences, here we have the publication of nearly 40,000 specimen records from the UWI Zoology Museum, National Herbarium, and National Museum and Art Gallery. And they had 40 new records of plants and 2 new species, one of which is restricted to Trinidad and Tobago. I did visit it with the Honorable Penny Beckers, and we were so amazed at some of the specimens in here. And in fact, here is Minister Penny Beckers here. The same day, actually, we also inaugurated a pollinator garden to raise awareness of animals which are crucial to food security, such as bees, bats, and butterflies. We are leading, we have some exciting work going on in terms of the sargassum, which I think it's been troubling many countries in the region. And we do have a project. In fact, we have more than one. We mentioned one here, the Sargad Research, which is a collaborative one, which was initiated by us. And of course, we are the lead university, but also quite multidisciplinary work going on in terms of sargassum weed. And this one is geared towards creating plant fertilizers. Something away from the strict sciences or the pure sciences, or SALISIS. It's a Disability Studies Research Center, the Public Awareness Program. And one of the collaborations, again, initiated from this campus, the Faculty of Engineering. And then this led to an agreement with the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago, TAT. And this is the agreement that we've signed to establish a conformance and interoperability regulatory sandbox. And what that is expected to do is to expedite development of custom radio frequency enabled devices to address local and regional needs. Of course, I have no idea how we do that, but what I can tell you is going to make telecommunications better. We continue to use the COVID-19 pandemic for the benefits and the good that it can bring. You will recall that we were instrumental when it was being raged in the country Our Faculty of Engineering created many of the devices, the equipment, protective equipment, and of course we had our Christine Carrington doing the genome sequencing. We were involved in we created not fertilizers, sanitizers and so on. And what we are seeing is that this has led to other kinds of research because of what happened. So in the veterinary microbiology, here our researchers are using nanopore sequencing to screen for and sequence highly pathogenic mycobacteria in the School of Veterinary Medicine. And just a couple more examples, life sciences, they are characterizing human disease markers, again in nanopore sequencing. We had a very important initiative from Sandeep Maharaj, in fact, from the Faculty of Medicine, who realized that there were important mental health implications and led a study, then collaborated with McGill and invited other partners, Kevin and Mona, to work on it. And they've just published a really path-breaking article showing the deep impact of COVID on mental health. Work on genome sequencing, of course, continued, and hopefully next year you'll hear a bit more about that, where that is going. And we have a PhD student who is focusing on epigenetics and aging. I really had to practice, but I don't know how well I'm doing, some of these terms here. Bioinformatics tools to characterize DNA patterns in aging rats, and of course, the rats are just the experiment stage. Some more research highlights. The Student Life and Development Department, this is their poster presentation here in New Orleans, and that is really for, again, students with disabilities being advocates. Faculty of Law launched a new law magazine, congrats. And the Seismic Research Center led the publication of a thematic special publication. I always feel a little embarrassed when the Vice Chancellor is in the room because we claim the seismic unit center as our own, but it's really a center from a UWI Center, which happens to be located on the campus. And again, that demonstrates, I think, the importance of our headquarters as our center. There are several important institutes that come from there, and this is one. So that special publication, which was a result of their work on the Soufrière volcano in St. Vincent. You heard from our chair that what we want to do is to ensure that not only do we do this wonderful research, but that people know about it, both our policymakers and the public. So this is the idea behind a series of newspaper and media articles. The first was You on the Ground. That was in Newsday. Of course, we've continued with The Guardian and CNC3. You hear about that one next year. And on a variety of topics. This one happens to be about wild meat. We also are doing our UWI Research in Action. Here we have some of our new authors, just a glimpse of some of them. Congrats to all of these new authors with their books. Professor Ram Logan, Dr. Rian Singh, and Dr. Shalini Ramdeo, and Dr. Talia Esnad. Dr. Shami and Dr. Tilak Singh, Dr. Anatol on security threats in the Caribbean. And of course, our students and our alumni also achieved, so just mention a couple. Professor Ferguson Noel, honored as a Fellow of the National Academy of Inventors in June for her significant contributions and co-inventing 2 patented vaccines against avian mycoplasma, impacting poultry health globally. And we thought we would mention, too, that our inaugural recipient of the McCandle Dagger Law Scholarship, after passing his LLB, then succeeded at the bar and was admitted in November 2022 to great acclaim by his community. Then Kendra Hope, a student from social sciences, not the arts, won the UWI Got Talent competition. And in the arts now, Deborah Lee Matthews, PhD candidate, she was shortlisted for the Commonwealth Short Story Award in April for her story, Thief from Thief, which apparently had to do with thieving mangoes and other things. At least it started off with that. And that was out of 19 countries took part. Our 3-minute thesis winner, who's really doing some great work, she won that little competition, but her work is on a very important topic, polycystic ovary syndrome. And I know she's continuing that work with 2 colleagues from the department. And we also had on winner's row, second place, the UWI team in terms of the Shell AI Hackathon, mentored by Professor Pat Hossain, one of our computing whizzes, himself has over 30 patents. Festival wins, Oyetayo Orade, film program alumnus, won with Hidden Crime, Best Documentary in Nigeria, and that premiering on International Men's Day looks at the issue of male domestic violence. Very important. These are some of our national awardees. As you know, every year, the UWI, when you look at the national awards, several of our scholars and others are among the top awardees, and these are the ones for 2022. Just after this period, of course, the 3 ORTT awardees came from UWI as well, but we'll talk more about that next year. But congratulations to all of them. And this is another page. Oh, actually, no, we've included it as well. The Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Yumaharan, Professor Clement Embe, Emeritus Professor John Agar, the highest order of Trinidad and Tobago, and all of these others with gold medals, wonderful achievements. Well, you heard about me, and we can create the change. And here we are, some of our new heads. Dr. Griffith Charles, head in engineering, Dr. Indira Rampasad, political science, Dr. Suzanne Burke, our new public orator, Dr. Lisa Elias Roberts, our new dean of law. Some more heads here, Dr. Roberts, Dr. Maraj, Professor Chedi, who's our PVC now, our VC snapped him up, and Dr. Anita Montooth, doing great with International Relations Institute, doing great work, all of them. And these are some of our new professors. Again, congrats are in orders. It's not easy, for those of you who don't know, to become a professor at this institution. It takes a lot, and it requires international recognition of your excellent research. It requires public service, and it's internationally peer-reviewed. So congrats are in order for Dr. Ramlad, who of course is also our new dean in engineering, Dr. Michelle Scobie, Dr. Michael Sutherland, Dr. Sanjay Bahadur Singh, and Dr. Sandra Reed, all of course now called professors. Here are some new ones as well. Now Professor Woodivira, or Dean of Agriculture, Shireen Hack, Astronomy, Dr. now Professor Manohar, Professor Dahaya, Professor Ayub Khan, Professor Mawasha, Professor Rafiq, Beverly Carter, Professor Hussain, and Professor Smith. So we've done not too badly here, VC, some new professors. So St. Augustine is doing well. We also had new emeriti professors. Professor Brian Copeland, our former principal, we decided we had to keep him some more to make him work some more. Professor John Agard as well, you would have known him in sciences. Professor Gary Garcia, who's agriculture. And here we are, this is our team here, you see them around the room, our registrar, our deputy principal, our acting bursar, and our campus librarian. These are the deans. The one I would not have mentioned this morning would have been Professor Walcott Hackshaw. The rest I've mentioned. Professor Sitara Harman, Dr. Coban, Dr. Cameron, and Dr. Mansing, who's in sport. And now, after introducing our hardworking deans, I will let them come in because I don't want to drone on too much. I'll come back in the end to tell you about our revenue generation. So I'm going to ask our deans to, I think we are starting with the Faculty of Engineering.
Thank you, Campus Principal. I'm pleased to present on behalf of the Faculty of Engineering. Let me get started. So some of the initiatives from the last academic year, just to review. Professor Ekwe, as Dean, had initiated some work, and he reported last council meeting that we were reconfiguring the Engineering Institute. We have since been able to use the EI, which will celebrate 30 years this year, to leverage a lot more resources and experience out of the EI to secure and manage many more consulting projects, to engage with industry partners, especially to provide targeted human resources development training. A lot of our industrial partners have said to us, have said to us, we need much more targeted type training, and so we have done that. And we are also examining how we are working with our professional bodies to do more CPE type training and initiatives. In addition to that, we have increased a lot of our strategic engagements with local, regional, and international institutions. So, for example, we have signed several MOUs with Brandenburg Technical University, for example, University of Western Michigan. We are about to embark, so this work continues with UTT. We're going to sign another memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Energy, with Heritage Petroleum. We have already signed agreements with BP, with Shell. We're working with the UN ECLAC, with the Association of Caribbean States, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and embarking on other MOUs with University of New Brunswick and so on. So a lot of that effort continues, but we started this last year. We are also mindful of the decline in student enrollment. We've started to do a lot more outreach. We have created and we have resourced a faculty outreach unit, and we are going to use that to do a lot more recruitment. And we have started that, and we have started seeing increases in numbers in our pre-engineering program, and that's a new program we have created to recruit persons with CSEC and then bring them into our bachelor's degree programs. So we have done reasonably well with that. We have also, in terms of new initiatives starting in this academic year, was to create a lot more research clusters focused on specific areas that are aligned to some of the new things that are happening, especially the technological developments. So we have research clusters in AI, and in fact, one of the things we're working on right now is a master's degree and MPhil and PhD in AI. We're also doing a lot more work in machine learning, sustainable development, and sustainable engineering. We are looking at renewable energy, carbon capture, and as part of our carbon capture work, we are signing MOU with UTT and University of Texas, getting funding from the Ministry of Energy for that one, as well as doing a lot more work on geospatial knowledge infrastructures. This one, we're working with the United Nations Global Geographic Information Management Committee of Experts, as well as UN ECLAC and private sector companies, the largest geospatial company in the world, Esri, and this work is going to continue. As part of that work, we have launched virtually, together with Minister Dr. Emery Brown, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mexico, the Geospatial Observation Center. This center is going to provide Earth observation products that is going to support the entire region. The Geospatial Observation Center is going to be one out of maybe 7 in the world open data cubes, and this will provide data whether you want to track sargassum, seaweed, or you want to do coastal inundation, look at sea level rise, and so on. This is going to be a center available for everyone, products for free for anyone to use. We have also embarked on converting many of our programs to blended learning programs as well, and online programs to target the non-traditional markets. We're looking at Belize, we're looking at Guyana, we're looking at Suriname as well to see how we could benefit from that. And finally, what we hope to do is to have greater engagement with alumni so that we can not only get financial donations, but get donation in kind, where, for example, we can have many more student engagements and mentorship, because those things are important, that industry attachment and the mentorship that would be required. With that said, thank you very much. I will hand over now to Dean Woodavera, who will present on behalf of Food and Agriculture.
Thank you very much, Dean, and good morning, colleagues. For the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, we have strategically expanded our non-traditional programs. As you would have heard, of course, we're challenged significantly with the enrollment in the traditional programs. So we've expanded our CPEs. My apologies. We've expanded our CPEs in shade house production and management, and aquaculture production and management with hundreds of students, and an internship program as well with some hundreds of students as well. And we have also strategically moved ahead to develop some of our traditional programs, like the postgraduate diploma in climate resilient agriculture, extension for community development, and a host of others that you are seeing there, based on developmental and national needs. And just to mention that in these programs, we have a number of students that are funded by regional governments to attend these courses. We also, as you would have heard, we have enhanced our collaboration and partnerships through a number of memorandum of agreements and letter of agreements and service level agreements and geotechnical or rather general technical cooperation agreements. We have also had MOUs with the Ministry of National Security, because it is clear that food security is national security. And we have also gone ahead to facilitate the growth of interdisciplinary projects for a more comprehensive approach to development. So here we have implemented a number of projects. We have this JEF-funded projects on fisheries that is multi-country to the tune of close to $10 million US. We have also implemented an innovative project on insect farming to address the protein needs in our livestock feed. We are continuing our collaboration with the Faculty of Medical Sciences and the Ministry of Health, working on food, diets, and health outcomes in the Caribbean. We have also moved to contribute to the reduction in the food import bill by 25% by 2025. So we're working with regional governments. And what we have done here was the FFA leading the formation of a consortium, the consortium of universities in the Caribbean that are involved in agricultural education and research. And by doing this, we've gone ahead as well to develop a memorandum of agreement with the CARICOM private sector organization to target those commodities that are significant in the reduction of the food import bill. And going forward, of course, we're looking at particularly our traditional programs, trying to see how we can improve enrollment. And so here we're looking at the 2+2 model with TLIs, and also partnerships with TLIs, ministries, and colleges to upskill their lecturers, researchers, teachers, and technicians. We're also developing some non-traditional programs based on developmental needs of our nation and our region, like in the basics and advanced in plant quarantine and sustainable farming certificate and pesticide control operators certificate. These are programs that have been requested by our stakeholders. We're also enhancing our organizational capacity, particularly through our BDU, our Business Development Unit, so that we could attract more source of funding through grant funding and other networking. We're also modernizing our university field station. We're looking to modernize our university field station and make it a model farm and field laboratory that will showcase best practices to attract more students and also to generate revenue. We're also implementing a profit sharing and equity ownership of the university field station, so that we'll have our employees be part of what is going on to ensure that they are encouraged, they're there and give their best to our production. And we are also focusing on sustainable agriculture and value chain development to support CARICOM food security. We're particularly focusing on Guyana. We've had some recent meetings with the Guyana government, and we're going to be providing some capacity building and training. We have spoken about establishing of reference labs, reference food safety labs, water quality labs, and soil and soil labs. We're also developing seed bank and tissue culture labs so that we provide disease-free planting material, and a number of MOUs as well that are coming on stream with National Flour Mill, with CAPA, USAID, and we are also developing some value-added products to place in our marketplace. And we have had sponsorship as well that are coming on stream for our MPhils and PhDs, where we have a number of scholarships through grant funding that will see us have more capacity in terms of having PhDs and MPhils. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you. I will now hand you over to the Dean of the Faculty of Humanities and Education, Professor Elizabeth Hackshaw.
Good morning, everyone. And because I'm in humanities, allow me to begin with a definition. The humanities are disciplines that investigate the expressions of the human mind, quote from William Ditley. I think more than ever, we need the humanities, and you will allow me to make that pitch for the humanities, because I think they play a fundamental role in our society today, locally, globally, and regionally. Our focus, and I will talk about the broad strokes in the faculty, the principal mentioned that recruitment is a challenge globally, locally. So we are working very hard on recruitment. We're working on the experience for both staff and students, and of course, placement directly linked to recruitment. In the faculty, we've been trying to increase enrollment and focusing on what we think this generation relates to is we've had a social media campaign and we've seen increased traffic on Instagram, Facebook, and we also have a virtual help desk. We're also engaging in what we call public-facing writing so that we can bring all our scholarship to the public in different areas. So we publish in UWI Today and other journals, and of course online. And we also had an AI book published online to look at the impact of artificial intelligence, specifically in the humanities. And of course, we have short courses to also increase enrollment. In terms of experience, we know that in the faculty, we have to look at our curriculum. So we've been reviewing it and redesigning it with a focus on collaborative research clusters, both interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. We think we need to collaborate not only within both and across the campus and the wider UWI community, but also globally. That plays an important role. We have been doing bundles that the principal spoke about, pulling together different courses, and we've been collaborating with my colleagues in other faculties to attract people into the humanities. We're working on something called the Multi-Campus Teaching and Learning Initiative, and that's where we offer courses across the UWI, and in the humanities specifically, we've offered digital history, and that has gotten a great pickup, so we're quite proud of that. The principal also mentioned the foreign language requirement, which is very close to our heart in the Faculty of Humanities and Education, because it's in this faculty that we offer courses in French, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, and of course, Intro to Sign Language. And the Vice Chancellor will be happy to know that we're also trying to increase our offerings to Korean and as many languages as we can. And there has been great enthusiasm from the students. In terms of placement, the other faculties have something called Faculty Industry Liaison Committees, and this semester I intend to have one for our faculty. It will be the first, and we're inviting stakeholders because we do need to attract funding from outside for the faculty. The way forward, very important to the faculty is how we make money for our faculty and, of course, the university. And one project that we have gotten a very positive response from the campus is Humankind Studios, and we have gotten funding from the campus for this. We're starting off harnessing all of the expertise that we have in our film program, and we'll be offering 3 packages from the faculty. And we also realize that with Humankind Studios, we can also collaborate with UWI TV and offer them content. And this I see as a very, very important initiative coming out of the faculty. We also have the CITB, which is the Caribbean Interpreting and Translation Bureau. I don't know if a lot of people know about that, but most people come to the faculty to get certified translations. We have to go to our stakeholders, and the Industry Liaison Committee will help us do that. We have been getting grant funding, and of course, I've met with the Alumni Association, and they too have promised to assist the faculty, and we shall be going to the Alumni Association. Visibility is directly linked, in my opinion, to revenue revolution because people need to see us, to invest in us. So we have to have increased social media presence, continue with our writing, and of course, research collaboration, both internally and externally. The way forward, we are the humanities, so our initiatives are also linked to services. Humanitas is where we are. So we had a project that was really inspired, I have to say, by the campus principal for us to get students to go out into the community to help the young migrant Spanish children and help them with their English and before they go into schools. We got an amazing response. We had 40 UWI students from across the faculties, and we went into the communities, and we hope to continue with this project. We also had a film camp in 2023, and we're going to continue that film camp in 2024, and we did get assistance from the Ministry of Education. We're most grateful for that, for the film camp. We do believe that we have to enter into all of the conversations, and the ISDJ, which is the International School for Development Justice, FHE needs to get modules in this project. It's a very important project for the university, and we do believe that humanities has an important role to play. Finally, we have to expand our knowledge landscape, and of course, digital humanities has been offered globally, and we would like to do that as well. We have to look at the impact of artificial intelligence on our knowledge landscape, not just in the humanities, but across the board. And the humanities has a role to play in archiving our cultural heritage. Looking forward, ideally, once the funds allow, I would like to have 2 conferences focusing on eco-criticism and, of course, internationalizing the Carnival experience. I do believe there is a wealth to be offered there. Thank you so much for your attention, and I will now pass on to Dean of Law, Elias Roberts. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to share with you 3 key highlights of the Faculty of Law and 3 strategic initiatives. So the 3 key highlights were achieved while Dr. Timothy Afonso was the acting dean. First, to enhance our student experience, our dedicated staff continue to support and coach our students to participate in various international law moot competitions and international debates. In fact, even though last year was the first time that a team from the St. Augustine Campus Faculty of Law participated in the Hague International Law Debate Tournament, the team from this campus made it to the quarterfinals of the Hague tournament. And there are about 40 teams, and we were in the top 8. So these competitions and debate, they allow the faculty to nurture students, their critical thinking, their intellectual curiosity, and advocacy skills. The faculty also remains committed to providing internship opportunities for students. These offer students real-world practical experience, and also our engagements with the relevant stakeholders strengthen our collaboration through these initiatives with law firms such as Lakers, one of the world's largest law firms, and the regulatory bodies like the Trinidad and Tobago Fair Trading Commission. Another key highlight, during the last academic year, the Faculty of Law launched the procurement workshop as one of our revenue-generating initiatives. The faculty remains at the forefront of researching laws and providing a forum for open discussions about the effectiveness of new laws and regulations. So our academic staff would leverage their expertise and collaborate with various stakeholders, and also to advance our legal research. Looking forward, in terms of strategic initiatives, 3 things to highlight. One would be our intention to have a pre-law program. We are dedicated in the Faculty of Law to expanding access to legal education. The proposed pre-law program aims at providing students who successfully complete this program access to the law degree, under certain conditions, of course. While this pre-law program will be pre-university, the faculty continues and remains steadfast in advancing research and scholarship at a postgraduate level. So we intend to expand our continuing professional education courses, course offerings in areas such as certificates in oil and gas law, advanced intellectual property, banking law, offshore financial law, global health law, advanced insurance law, intellectual property, I said already, international human rights, many more, will be offered as standalone courses where the successful participants will receive a postgraduate professional certificate with credit. And a third strategic initiative which I'd like to highlight is that we will continue with our outreach activities, several conferences and seminars that we have planned, some of them so far in areas of oil and gas law, intellectual property and innovation, insolvency, sports law. What I don't have on the screen is constitutional law, which we are in our preliminary discussions to have a seminar on constitutional law, and also possibly restorative justice and reparations. So we intend to take an interdisciplinary approach towards research and scholarship to strategically to collaborate with various partners, industry, government, community stakeholders, hosting various relevant and important seminars and conferences on those very important topics. And then we intend to translate our research into published work and provide real-world solutions. Principal mentioned the launch of our law journal, so we intend to publish a lot of our work in our journal as well as other peer-reviewed journals. And this is being done to create, of course, positive change in our community. So thank you. I'll now pass you to Professor Dilip Dan, who will be presenting on behalf of the Faculty of Medical Sciences.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning all. I present on behalf of Prof. Sitaraman, who is on leave. In July 2023, CAMHP, let me just get this going, sorry. CAMHP, the governing body for accreditation, granted UWI School of Medicine, the MBBS program, accreditation for 5 years, 2023 to 2028. The second major achievement is that typically our exams, our final MBBS exams have been 3 separate exams, one in surgery, medicine, and then obstetrics and gynecology. For the first time in the history of the faculty, we are now going towards a unified exam. So this will start where all 3 exams will be essentially one exam. And this will start in June of 2024. So we have a mock exam next week, as early as next week. And it's coming off, I'm not sure why. This will keep in line with other schools globally, so that we'll be more in line, internationally. The third thing is the faculty played a critical role in the management during the COVID-19 pandemic, in terms of not only clinical practice, but also viral genomic sequencing, as mentioned already by the principal. And these contributions have not gone unnoticed. Prof. Christine Carrington received in September 2022 the National Award, Chaconia Medal Gold, for her contribution to virology. She's also received the FMS Awards at the UWI 2023 Research Festival for Best Researcher. Her team was also given the Best Team Research Award, Most Outstanding Regional and International Research Project for their work on COVID-19. Prof. Ora also received the Most Outstanding Faculty Researcher, in fact, for the Faculty of Medical Sciences. In terms of entrepreneurship, the Optometry Unit has made a presentation to Campus Strategic Implementation Committee in February of 2024, where the proposal for dispensing glasses and eyewear was made. They were asked to return to refine the project to decide the cost for producing a single spectacle. This is expected to be a very big money earner for the university. If we can just get our staff and our students, most of which wear spectacles, and to get our insurance providers to cover at preferential rates, would certainly be a very profitable unit. The next is the vet school and the dental school have made considerable efforts to attract foreign students. For instance, the vet school has done online open days and target at secondary schools in the region. There's a digital footprint now on the American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges website. The curriculum for the DVM has been revised to make it easier for students to access the program for the assessment of veterinary education equivalence, which is the PAVE pathway, which allows graduates of international and non-accredited veterinary programs to practice in the United States and Canada. Letters of intent were also sent to create partnerships with several universities abroad, the curriculum of the Guyana School of Agriculture Diploma in Animal Health and Veterinary Public Health program was mapped with CAPE Chemistry and Biology and found to be 92% equivalent. So students now with that diploma and possessing the appropriate matriculation requirements may now qualify for entry into the UWI FMS DVM program. For the School of Dentistry, they proposed that the Ministry of Education should table to Cabinet to identify CAMHP as a recognized and accepted accreditation agency, not only for medicine, but for dental and veterinary programs in Trinidad and Tobago. This will enable CAMHP to approach the National Committee of Foreign Medical Education and Accreditation to allow U.S. students to access federal loans to study in Trinidad and Tobago. This has already been done in Barbados and Jamaica, and this will allow for an increased pool of students to consider programs at the FMS St. Augustine. The FMS has also been asked by the government of Guyana to consider starting a satellite school of medicine and nursing in Guyana. We've had some initial meetings and as well as a visit to look at the opportunities. A proposal is being worked out and a MOU will follow, and obviously a feasibility study. The last thing is the Global School of Medicine was ready to start just prior to COVID pandemic, and this was in the Debe campus, and this had to be shelved. A new feasibility study is underway by Times Higher Education of the UK. And just lastly, before I pass you on, the principal has mentioned some new programs, one including the DM in microbiology, but we've also started other DM programs in the period, DM pediatric surgery, a fellowship in thoracic surgery, and we're working on plastic surgery, dermatology, and also orthodontics, MSc in orthodontics. So thank you very much, and it is now my pleasure to pass you on to Dean Brian Coburn, Dean of the Faculty of Science and Technology.
Thank you very much, Professor Dan, and good morning, everyone. While the Faculty of Science and Technology continues to have a strong research output and to build on its quality assurance framework for research and teaching and learning, I want to focus this morning on efforts to build the human resource across one of our most important stakeholders, the secondary school community. Starting off here with a chemistry festival called Helping Hands, the acronym standing for Helping and Nurturing Deaf Students. This festival here was the brainchild of Dr. Petra Facey of our Department of Chemistry, recognizing the unique challenges faced by deaf students in accessing a science education. Globally, just about 1 in 10 deaf students pursue STEM options. So this initiative was developed in collaboration with the American Chemical Society and the Cascade School for the Deaf and the Audrey Jeffers School for the Deaf. UWI student volunteers were actually able to use sign language to communicate with the deaf students. And of course, sign language, as we heard earlier, is one of the options from the Center for Language Learning offered by our Faculty of Humanities and Education. This is only the beginning. We managed to pull off our Sci-Fest in 2023 under the theme Island Resilience, recognizing that preparation for climate change is perhaps the most prudent way forward. We had over 400 selected secondary school students attend. They witnessed scientific displays and interacted with student entrepreneurs. The whole exercise was driven by undergraduate and postgraduate students, and on the left on this slide you see our very popular soapbox presentations where recent postgraduate students spoke about their research and its impact nationally. This was across all 5 disciplines within the faculty: chemistry, physics, computing and IT, life sciences, and mathematics, of course. The Department of Physics held a STEM camp. This was an initiative of Professor Sharon Hack. Students from several schools had a hand-on experience for a week, and again, all disciplines in science. In the picture on the far right, you can see students displaying prosthetics which were built during the camp in our medical physics lab. We held our 6th annual UWI Math Fair, which is now one of the largest events on the campus, attracted over 3,000 secondary school students, and it continues to nurture a love for mathematics as the foundational science. And as you can see on the right, we also continue to inspire the development of math clubs in schools. The aim, of course, being to showcase the utility and accessibility of math and science. This year, we extended invitations to ministries of education and secondary schools in Guyana, St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda to view our live stream of the event. And we also had online participation in our math competitions from Dominica. It's a huge event that is supported by corporate citizens, and we are thankful for that. Internships represent one of the most impactful mechanisms for teaching and learning and for engaging with both the public and private sector. We have built out a robust framework with MOUs, and we continue to engage and offer these internships in a structured manner. We started with perhaps 5-6 years ago, just about 2% of our FST population enjoying an internship. We are already up to about 25%, and we hope to be able to offer internships to as many of our students as possible because of the impact it can bring. And over on the right on this slide, the Chemistry Olympiad continues to be one of our dream projects to nurture the next generation of chemists. Last year, for the first time, we took part in person in Switzerland, and this year we are sending a team to Saudi Arabia. Our strategic initiatives include micro-credentialing of the field components of existing courses, and you would have heard from the principal about our launch of a pollinator garden, recognizing the importance of pollinators to agriculture, and our butterfly farm. And finally, over on the right, our pre-science program continues to grow and to provide access to several of the faculties on the campus. Students recognizing that a good foundation in science allows you to pivot into many different disciplines wherever your dreams take you. Thank you very much, and I now turn you over to Dean Lewis Cameron from the Faculty of Social Sciences. Dean Cameron.
Thank you, Dean Coburn. Good morning, colleagues. The Faculty of Social Sciences continues to build a sustainable system, and we do this through our vision, which is to be socially engaged and solutions-oriented. And the last academic year, 22-23, was the last year of our triple P agenda of people development, product enhancement, and process improvement. So in terms of people development, we developed and implemented what we call the advanced program for all our staff in the faculty. And this was a customized, certifiable people development initiative which focused on 7 modules where we examined or we explored both professional skills development as well as personal or wellness development. This culminated in a graduation ceremony in summer last year, and we have since packaged and marketed this advanced program to the public sector as a form of revenue generation for the faculty. In terms of product enhancement, this is the area where we spend a lot of time in the last academic year. And in this area, we focus primarily on introducing new programs as well as customized training for industry partners. In terms of new programs, you would have heard other persons mention it, but we developed and implemented the Micro-Credentials Accelerator Path program, which is now known as the MAP program. And just to be more specific, the program provides professionals seeking to improve their marketability with access to attractive bundles of cross-disciplinary postgraduate courses that will increase their competitiveness, as well as provide an opportunity to ladder up into other postgraduate programs. So this is a cross-campus initiative where the bundles will be drawn from courses across the campus. And so we have already piloted 2 bundles, and as Dean of FHE mentioned, we have other bundles that are on the way in this academic year. In terms of the customized training, just to note that over the last academic year, we have provided training for Fashion TT. We graduated 70 fashion industry experts through the Fashion TT entity. We also provided leadership training for youth leaders through the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service. We also provided customized training for residential care workers. So our thrust in terms of product enhancement has been to examine different ways in which we can provide customized training for our industry partners, and this continues into this academic year. The third P, which we focused on, is that of process improvement, where we have embarked on a series of initiatives to improve our internal processes in terms of particularly standardized reporting, where the emphasis in the faculty has been on reporting impact of initiatives and not simply indicating that these are the initiatives that we engaged in, but making the link between the initiatives and our agenda, which is to be socially engaged and solutions-oriented. In 23-24, we shift our attention to what we are calling the 3 E's. And so we are focused on exposure, engagement, and empowerment. And each year, between 23 to 27, over the next 4 years, we will embark on a series of initiatives in these 3 areas. Specifically for 23-24, under exposure, we are focused on utilizing multiple media outlets to profile, first of all, our students who are making a difference in society. We have a number of graduates who are doing amazing things in society, and we want over this academic year to profile how they have been socially engaged and solutions-oriented in their specific sphere of influence. We are also focusing on our researchers and moving our research from simply research to action. And over this year, we have signed a number of MOUs, and we are partnering with, for example, the Judicial Educational Institute, Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Rape Crisis Society. A number of MOUs have been signed, and we are engaging with these partners to show how our research can contribute to providing solutions in the respective areas. And all of this will be done under the banner of SOCI Connect, where we will be connecting with our different stakeholders. In terms of engagement, our focus this year is on again, moving our research to action. And we are about to launch a multidisciplinary research grant, which is aligned to the faculty's vision again, focusing on multidisciplinary research aimed at addressing specific social issues or challenges, or capitalizing on opportunities for meaningful impact within the local and Caribbean communities. So this is a research grant that will be offered to a group of researchers across disciplines who focus on solutions for specific issues. And so this grant will be available to staff to engage in that impactful type of research. And then finally, in terms of empowerment, our focus for this year is on, we've created an experiential education framework for the faculty where the focus is on making our students more work-ready by strategically embedding soft skills or work-ready skills into our entire program. So we are embedding work-related skills at the course level, at the program level, and at the faculty level. So we are attacking this issue of students not being work-ready at every level of the system. And we will be doing that through a combination of live projects, community engagement, mandatory workshops, a number of different elements across the system. So those are the areas that we'll be focusing on for 23-24. Thank you, and I hand you over to my colleague, Dean Akshay Mansingh, Dean of the Faculty of Sport, who will be joining us virtually.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to start off immediately with the key highlights of the Faculty of Sport at the St. Augustine Academy of Sport. And I'm happy to say that in this period under review, we were able to produce our first set of graduates, 5 from the BSc Sport Kinetics program. That is something that we're particularly pleased about, because you recall that the faculty started 7 years ago. We spent the first year just developing programs and attracting students, and we finally have our first set of graduates. Not only do we have that, but we got some, as you can see on the newspaper article on the right, some media coverage about them. But more importantly, we were approached by the Sport Company of Trinidad and Tobago to get their resumes, because they want to employ them in various fields across the country as soon as possible. In fact, having spoken to Minister Shamfa Kodjo about this, she's very keen on the sports coaching as well, and says that she's happy to see that this sort of thing is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. So a lot of sort of positive vibes from the first set of graduates that we had, one of whom was with first class honors. Of course, where you've got output, you've got to have intake. And one of our major focus for this year and the year before was to increase our intake of students. Our programs are self-financing. They require students to pay themselves. And with the COVID slump, there was a drop in our enrollments. Well, I'm happy to say that we've had a lot of outreach, and we are seeing encouraging numbers of applications from last year and this year. The other major thing that happened, of course, was the resumption of face-to-face classes. And that, of course, brought the students together. In sports, it's very important to have everybody together. But it was done incorporating what we'd started pre-COVID, which was cross-campus teaching. So being a regional faculty, we're able to use the best lecturers from each campus to teach students on other campuses, and that has continued with a lot of sort of interaction between our students at St. Augustine and Mona in particular. We have been publishing a fortnightly column called Sport Matters in the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian and simultaneously in the Jamaica Sunday Gleaner, and that has continued into its 5th year, I believe it is. And continues to publish articles of interest of sport to the region, and very often attracts contact or comments from some key stakeholders in this industry across the entire region. We're also happy to have developed a course for the cross-campus program on climate change, which has started, and that was our contribution to the cross-campus programs that are being developed. The other highlights are in the sporting field, where we had resumption of student sport after that hiatus from COVID. And it was highlighted by the promotion of our St. Augustine's Women Cricket Club to the Premiership from the championship that we won the previous year. So they're now competing at the highest level, and a lot of interest has been garnered in female students who wish to pursue cricket. We've also tried to use our fields and our facilities as assets to increase revenue generation. And our rental of our cricket grounds by the CPL continued last year, so that we had significant revenue from them using it while they were in Trinidad and Tobago. Cricket West Indies also used the UWI St grounds for rental for this women's cricket competition and women's cricket in general. And our UWI St gym was used sparingly due to the lack of AC, as you heard Principal mention. That is going to be rectified this year, but nonetheless, being a premier facility, it still attracted some income in spite of the lack of AC, but we can anticipate quite a boost in the upcoming year once that is fixed. Going forward, we're happy to be developing a course for the International School of Developmental Justice. The MSc in Sport and Discrimination and Reparative Justice is being developed out of our St. Augustine Academy of Sport and should be ready for delivery the next academic year. That is part of the whole university initiative in that program, and we're happy to be a part of 3 SDGs pertaining to sport and wellness. We've also done a market survey, which was very positive, on starting an MSc Sports Psychology through our St. Augustine Academy. And that course content is now being prepared for approval through the various boards. But the market survey was very positive, and we see this as something which is going to attract people not just in Trinidad, but outside, because the majority of that is going to be online. And we're also looking in the following year to start our PhD program. It's been a program which is oversubscribed on the other campuses. We've actually had to turn away a lot of our students due to the lack of our ability to support them. But we can see us taking 1 or 2 students at the St. Augustine Academy. Incidentally, we do have, I think, 3 students right now from Trinidad enrolled in the program through another campus, and we'd love to see more enrolled through the St. Augustine Academy. So those are things academically looking forward to next year. But certainly sport is the other side of it. And I'm happy to report that the gym is being refurbished. Of course, our sporting facilities are primarily for our students and staff, but also to generate some income. So the gym is being refurbished and upgraded, which will give you better equipment, a better safety profile, and hopefully will attract some of the bigger teams from outside as well. The sanctioning of the building of the swimming pool has taken place, and so that will be starting very soon. And we have other things that we'll report in the following report next year with the tennis courts and other facilities that are being upgraded. Cricket has been our major revenue income. And as I mentioned, the CPL has been using it as their practice venue. But last year, with the resumption of CCC in both Super 50 and first class cricket for the next 4 years, we've seen quite a bit of economic activity through there. The CCC had their camp at St. Augustine, which meant that the teams were residing on campus for a while, which generated some income through that avenue, but also had the competitions played at our home ground at UWI St. Tomorrow we'll see the return of first-class cricket on that ground after about 15 or 16 years when we take on the Leeward Islands, and the remaining 4 matches in the first-class competition for the CCC will be played at UWI St. That, of course, not just generates revenue, but generates throughput of spectators, gives us a fairly sizable television crowd viewership, so we can now start advertising or selling some advertisements, and also gives us recognition for the students who wish to now become part of that whole process. In fact, our ground will be used as a practice facility for the upcoming World Cup, which is quite prestigious for us. And of course, the CPL engagement continues. It continues not just with the use of the ground, but we actually have a very robust program in sport marketing, which is a certificate program up to now, whereby applicants would apply for every venue. They go through a didactic period of learning of sport marketing using the best of CPL and our own lecturers. And then they'd be embedded when CPL came to the various countries. So we have interns in St. Lucia, Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad, and next year we'll include the other facilities, which are Antigua and St. Kitts. But what we've done for this year is we've actually increased this to a 3-credit course as well, because a lot of our applicants are from universities overseas and from various faculties in our university campuses across the region. And we realize that this is an opportunity for them to use it as credits, as a free elective. And so this year it's been approved for a 3-credit course. so that students who have the ability to use a free elective can enter in the sports marketing program and get some credit for it as well as the experience. So that has actually expanded quite nicely. The other thing that we wish to expand now that we've returned is our half marathon 5K, which had the highest participation last year, but also had interest from Sportsmax to beam it live across the world. So we're going to partner with them this year, not only to have it broadcast, but also to get a lot more international participation. And hopefully those numbers will swell beyond what we have this year. So a lot of strategic initiatives, both in academics and sporting activities. Thank you for the opportunity, and hand you back to our principal. Thank you very much.
Well, I did tell you a lot was happening on the campus, and those are just the highlights, but I think you see some trends in all of our faculties. One is initiatives which are very relevant to our community. Another is visibility of the work that we do, the great work that we do. We're all attempting to be more visible. The multidisciplinary emphasis, I think, also is a trend. And then the green agenda. These are all ideas that we are striving for together as we create the change together. So I just want to run you quickly as I can through our revenue generation, which of course is very important to us, and outreach. Many public lectures, some of them from persons who have been acknowledged by the UN, such as Professor Maiku, and of course these are new professors giving their first offerings. Professor Ram Subag doing very exciting work on antibiotic resistance. And then we had Professor Sa on best evidence medical education. We had World Food Prize laureate Dr. Harak Singh also speaking to us, and of course, the King Asante King's open lecture, Time for Us to Reconnect with Africa, very special to us. There am I getting a lovely gift from him. And other important highlights on the economy, we continue on climate change. There's Prof. Maiku there again. Our History Fest, we lost, sadly, one of our icons in history this year, Professor Binzi Samaru, and there he is. The UWI Network on Outreach for Disability also did some great work. We remembered the Black Power Revolution, which, as you know, this campus was, the Makandal Dagger originated here on this campus. So here we had a very special event partnering with the National Joint Action Committee in Salisis and Office of the Principal. The work of the IGDS, I think nobody needs an introduction to the IGDS. They have done excellent work on all types of gender issues, and here they are here with the Bankers Association, looking at child sexual abuse interventions, just one of the many things that they continue to do for the country and region. Salisis as well, and our research institution, 75 years of ideas and innovation and development justice. The Cocoa Research Center, every year the prized Cocoa Symposium is from the CRC, University of the West Indies, St. Augustine Campus. I was in plane yesterday, Caribbean Airlines coming from Tobago, and I see where they listed it amongst the top festivals as the leading one. So we're not just boasting. Revenue revolution, of course, we are all in it. I think one of the things that we have to note is that we have campus initiatives which have been approved, but also we have created a Shark Tank type of experience with an implementation committee on the campus where all the faculty sit together. We analyze each other's projects. Everybody has come up with projects in order to for revenue generation, and we determine how to fund. You would have heard from Dean Liz Walcott Hackshaw of the Humankind Studio, and this was one where our committee felt was deserving of funding, so we provided seed monies. The marketplace that Dean Woodavara didn't really say much about. He probably thought you knew, he probably thought you were shopping there already, that we've expanded what we've been doing for many years in terms of the things we produce, our produce, our milk, our various things. Well, I get my goat soup every Thursday. So all fresh produce and food as well in the marketplace now on campus. And also some other projects with our partners, such as our after-school center, which is being financed by the Republic Bank and things like that. We tend to do more with our private sector partners. Many, many revenue earners from our research. The South Rouge Flood Mitigation Project, the Blue Carbon Monitoring, Reporting and Verification, that's US $1 million. The Hit Reset Climate Coastal Resilience, €5 million. Digital Innovations, Sustainable Environmental and Economic Recovery, Volcanic Eruption Emergency Project. These are some of the really key things that this campus is leading on and getting funding to do the vital work, not having to ask for that self-sustained research funding. Not just in the hardcore sciences. I myself wasn't even aware of this wonderful work until I began to do this report. The transcribing of musical scores for tassa drumming and musical theory training for steel pan players. We have created in agriculture, it was a biophyte 1.0, a green non-hazardous biological agent. This is to help our farmers with their crops, biostimulants from sargassum weed, and of course one of our big projects, UWI Fine Cocoa. You've heard a lot about it over the years. We built the factory. It was completed this year. We started a few months ago and built it in record time. So now we're moving ahead to leverage our international reputation, the fact that we are leaders in cocoa research, the fact that we have the largest cocoa gene bank, that we already have international partners. We are going into the Barbadian and regional market. And of course, we are also at the same time ensuring that we continue to support cocoa farmers, because we can't have world-class chocolate on a large scale unless we're able to vamp up cocoa production in the country, which has declined over the years. UWI St, our products from science and technology, asphalt-based products, including our roofing sealants, plastic cements, where we believe that they're the best right now on the market. And we've put our money where our mouth is. We are using it to fix our own roofs and repairs on the campus and saving ourselves millions in the process. As you know, we already have a license with Lake Asphalt, but there are more than six products which we can use. Global School of Medicine, well, that was spoken about already. So once we get our feasibility study, we're going ahead with this project. And again, we hope to get the camp approval. And you would have heard about the Guyana interventions in terms of what's happening at the Faculty of Medical Sciences. I would have visited with President Irfan Ali in March, and from there, several faculties are going to be working in that direction. The Alumni Giving Project is still on target. We now have over 70,000 pre-approved alumni, and we are putting the final touches to the TouchNet online portal, where you can just go and contribute seamlessly. Efforts to internationalize our curriculum. The new MSc Diploma in Climate Studies, which is our first ever multi-campus, multidisciplinary degree. We got it approved, and within 2 weeks, we were able to get it on our books to market and so on in a great hurry. And to our surprise, but perhaps not a surprise, we were able to attract several students into the program. And we knew, and this was in January, and we knew that come August, we'll have a lot more. So a lot of excitement there. And of course, we continue our collaboration for bursaries and scholarships. UWI has actually increased the monies it is able now to offer our needy students. These are just some of the figures in terms of our budget types of things which will be in the report. Just for transparency. And so to conclude, what we are seeing is that across the campus, there's tremendous work going on, work towards societal advancement, pioneering research from our scientists, from our other scholars, our educators, from our artists, from our social scientists, from our educators. We are enriching minds, and we are actively engaged in our communities. We have great support staff that work with us, and together we are creating change. We are setting new benchmarks and scaling greater heights of excellence. And we hope that this new academic year, we can continue to count on your support. Many of you, our friends, are here with us today so that we can do even better things as we walk the journey together. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Principal. Well, as I said earlier, that the work being done here at the St. Augustine campus, though silent, and is really profound. And I think we have seen this here this morning. And Principal, I want to thank you for your leadership and to thank your academic, your senior administrative, your professional staff for the tremendous work that is being done on the St. Augustine campus. Thank you. Now, in collaboration with our campus principals, the Vice Chancellor provides strategic direction and leadership and helps to position and present the university internationally, nationally, and regionally. I now invite Professor Sir Hilary Beckles to deliver his address.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and very good morning, everyone. Allow me to, of course, recognize our Honorable Minister of Education, my friend Gatsby Dolly, and all of the representatives, PS, of government, and to recognize our principal and our deputy principal and our hardworking deans as they have been described, our student leaders, all distinguished members of council, and our online participants. It's always a joy to be here at St. Augustine in our First Republic. And I must say, though, that I suffered a sense of relief when I heard the principal making reference to the research on the stealing of mangoes. And I was pleased to note that the research was literary and not legal, because all of us in Caribbean civilization were socialized into a philosophical and religious perspective that you must love your neighbor's things as much as you love your own. and we all cross those borders, and happy to report that all of those crimes have now expired. But my task this morning is to make some overview remarks about the UWI system, or what is becoming known as the UWIverse, within which we can contextualize the principal's report. And I will do so by making reference, first of all, to the fact that in the year in review, we exited our 75th anniversary as a university in the service of our people in this region. And we arrived at that moment in time altogether very transformed, starting in 1948 with a school of medicine, a simple school of medicine with 31 students. I had the opportunity to invite all of the British High Commissioners in the Caribbean to Mona to have lunch with them and to thank the British government through them for that modest grant of 1948 to enable us to have 31 medical students. And I said to them, please inform the British government that we are very proud of that grant back then, but look at us now. Look what we have done with it. Look what we have done with it. 31 students, 1948. Now we have 50,000 students. Not a small medical school in a wooden building on the Mona campus, but now we have 5 campuses and 10 global centers scattered around the world. That is what you call Caribbean people in action, doing our own thing and taking responsibility for our future. And I can say that today, the reputation of our university has never been greater. And certainly the global visibility of our university has never been greater. I can therefore conclude that we exited our 75th year as a university with our heads held high, that we have not disappointed the people of the Caribbean for their investment in this academy over the decades. In 2 weeks' time, I will be addressing the General Assembly of the United Nations on matters relevant to Caribbean and global development. And I will be doing so under the chair of Ambassador Francis, who is a graduate of this campus. So I want you to imagine the sensation I will experience in the UN under the chair of an alumnus. This is just an expression of who we are and where we have reached and where we intend to go in the decades ahead as we look now future focused and future driven, as we look now to our centenary. And all of us are going to be here 25 years from now when we celebrate the university at one. Am I here in doubt? But we were tested in the year in review. This COVID pandemic that swept through the world, that drove many universities, in particular in this hemisphere, into despair. Many universities in this hemisphere closed their doors, sent home their students. They could not cope with the management of a university in a pandemic, with a devastating virus at work. But we did not follow in that approach. We did not close the University of the West Indies. The management and our students, we went into retreat and we came out with a clear philosophical view. We are standing with our students no matter what. We're going to get them through their programs, we're going to get them through to graduations, and we're going to allow their friends and their families to celebrate them. And this is what we did. Over 2,000 programs were transformed to online formats, and we kept in touch with our students. We embraced them, we hugged them, and we educated them. And this university exited that process with a state of deep domestic celebration. We do not take these things for granted because there are now many universities in our hemisphere and beyond that are spending millions of dollars to get back on track, to get back to where they had left off, the ground that they lost. And many students are actually punishing their universities for sending them home and closing down their programs. Many families are now punishing those universities for not taking their students through. So UWI was able to do well. As I said in the earlier stage, we have these global centers, and one of our centers is our software engineering program in Suzhou, China. And we were there with some of our students when the news broke in the Nanjing province, 100 miles or so away from Suzhou. We heard on the ground the specific nature of this virus, and we understood then, and we were able to bring that information back to UWI to say to this region, it is coming. It is coming our way. And so we did something that no university had done. We established a COVID-19 task force in early February, 2 months before the virus had appeared in our region. We had a task force chaired by Professor Landis, the principal of the Cayfield campus, but constituted of our best virologists, microbiologists, epidemiologists, and we put them all together to provide public education to this region about this virus. And we were able to use UWI TV and many other fora to communicate not only with our Ministry of Health and the medical practitioners, but with the society on the whole. And I believe that observing how our medical faculty and our science faculties and all of the other faculties that were a part of that, to see how they rolled up their sleeves and went into the communities, into the hospitals. And here at St. Augustine, we know what the medical faculty did. Rolled up their sleeves, got out there and helped to save lives. I have stated elsewhere that it was UWI's finest hour because we were helping our governments and our civil societies to save lives. And I was so proud when I would attend the heads of governments meetings, and the heads would receive an update of the state of the mobility of the virus within and throughout our region. And that research was coming out of UWI. This is what is going on in Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago. This is what is going on in the Leeward Islands and the Windward Islands. This is the mobility. This is the morbidity, the mortality. And giving them scientific information to shape policy and to save lives. So, I've experienced in this year in review a tremendous sense of pride in our campuses, and in particular, the relationship between our principals, their deans, their heads of departments, their units, the faculties on the ground. Because principal, you know that the bulk of the work done on the campus is on the faculty floor. I call the faculty floor the factory floor. This is where things are done. And with expert leadership, greater productivity in the faculties. And so we have proceeded in a difficult time in a positive manner. The world of higher education has become extremely competitive since the COVID pandemic. Universities are competing more aggressively than ever to get their dominant share of the market of students. Universities are almost in a cutthroat situation now across the world, fighting for a diminishing number of students. And emerging out of that competition is the dominant principle of partnerships. Universities are collaborating as a group to get their greater share. Partnerships. And the capacity of a university to survive today is based on how effective it will be in building out those global partnerships and global collaborations. Those are the relationships that will bring home the bacon to your institution. And I will come now to a comment about the strategic plan. I have to commend the principal. I have to commend her team for creating almost a perfect alliance between the campus strategy, the operational plans of the campuses, and the university's strategic plan. I wish to commend the St. Augustine community for embracing fully the university's strategic plan and showing tremendous agility and energy in implementing that plan within this campus. The revenue revolution is of vital importance to our future. When we look back 25 years from now, we will know that this was the moment where we turned around the cruise ship in the harbor. It's a very huge ship, as you know. It's a very small harbor, but we have to turn it around gradually and get it out on the high seas. And this is what we have started on the issues of the financial sustainability. Now, why have we reached there? The first 5 years of the strategic plan focused on the reputation revolution of UWI. We set out to rebuild the reputation of this university, to build it out regionally, and to build it out internationally. You know, there were always those moments in the media, and one newspaper in particular was very fond of referring to UWI as the intellectual ghetto. And you can imagine those of us in academia, how we felt about that. But they have been silenced by the work that we have done and how we have systematically and publicly built our reputation globally to silence that perspective, to demonstrate the mythology of that perspective. And then we took the decision, having built out our university's profile, we took the decision that we will take our university out into the world for global competitive rankings. And I want you to know, colleagues, that that was not an easy decision. There were those who argued that if we took the university out there to be globally ranked alongside of all the others, that we will get a low ranking, and it would impact negatively our morale. It would undermine the funding in the university. But colleagues, let me tell you this. One of the problems that we have in UWI, and we are now addressing that, is that many of us, and many of us, I mean not only in the UE, but in the community, we do not have a sense of the collective output of UE. We have a sense of the campus in front of us, the campus in our community, the campus we are part of. But we don't have an accurate sense of the collective output of the entire UWI system. And therefore, it becomes very difficult to make a scientific decision that's accurate. And so there were those who were in the majority, lacking a collective sense of who we are. And I can tell you that many of us who attended, for example, British provincial universities, Birmingham, Manchester, Sheffield, and so on and so forth, they are much smaller universities than UWI. Most of them have 15, 20,000 students. We have 50,000 students. We have 5 campuses. Most of them are single campus operations. And I know, being a product of that process, that their collective research output is no greater than ours. In fact, significantly smaller. And so with that knowledge, those of us who understood the totality of UWI, and there were many of us, colleagues, who spent our time on many campuses, I have spent 18 years at Mona, 19 years at Cave Hill. I was always at St. Augustine. And by the way, Principal, please rebuild the SCR. I spent wonderful years with my colleagues at the staff lounge. It was a wonderful experience to learn what colleagues in literature were publishing, what colleagues in medicine were publishing, and sociology, agriculture, and you would hear about all of this magnificent work. And those of us who traveled between the campuses got a good sense of the totality. And so we said, let us put our UWI forward. In our inaugural rankings, we were ranked in the top 4% of the best universities in the world. The next year, it was 3%. The next year, we were ranked in the top 1.5 of the best in the world, #1 in the Caribbean, and in the top 1% of Latin America and the Caribbean. And there are 2,000 universities in Latin America and the Caribbean, top 1%. There are 30,000 universities in the world, 30,000 universities, and we were now ranked in the top 1.5 of them. And people would always ask, how is it? And this is a question I'm called upon to answer on a regular basis. How is it that you guys and gals in a region that has not had sustained economic growth for 30 years. At best, the growth is anemic. How, with that anemic economic growth, were you able to maintain a first-class ranked global university? Simple answer. Solidarity. The commitment of our governments to this university, the commitment of the academics and administrators and the student leaders of this university, to ensure that no matter our financial situation, we are an academic institution and we will continue to strengthen and enhance the academic output of this university, no matter what our balance sheet is saying. And that is a commitment that has kept us where we are. We take this responsibility very seriously. And so our challenge has been to convert our reputation into revenue. That is the moment in time. Converting this reputation we have earned, we have built, how do we now convert that into sustainable revenue to secure our future? That is where we are in time. This is our big mandate. And every campus now has that responsibility. There is a $50 million shortfall in our budgets. We have a budget of the entire UWI system, and when we look at the expenditure to maintain the quality, and we look at the income coming in, there is that 50 million shortfall. But we're not going to sit around and complain about it. We, the management, took the decision that the campuses will take a percentage of that 50 million. And each campus has a quota. I think the St. Augustine quota is about 15 million. The biggest one. The biggest one. The biggest one. Cave Hill has like 8 or 9. Mona has 12. But we will find, between our collective entrepreneurial efforts, we will find that 50 million to balance the budget. Because if we cut and trim the campuses down to live within the existing budget, you will hurt the quality, and that is our predicament. We can't afford to hurt the quality. So, if the budget is $10, and the governments give us 7, we will find the 3. That is now our commitment to ourselves and to our governments, because the government's contributions to UWI has been falling rapidly in a relative fashion. I want to emphasize there is no absolute cut in government spending. So whereas it is true that 30 years ago the governments were contributing 90% of the operational budget of UE, and now the governments are contributing 47% of the budget of UE. So while it has fallen from 90, 80, 70, and now it's 47%, it does not mean that the governments are giving us less. In fact, the governments are giving us more. Each government is giving us more now than they did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So we are getting an increase over time, but it is a relative relationship, because we have to find new ways to expand and to grow. We cannot cut the university into prosperity. Yes, we have to continue to watch our expenditure, and I have noticed that in the year in review, we have cut the expenditures of the university by 10%. And we will continue to cut expenditures wherever we can. But at the same time, in the last year, the campuses have collectively generated $60 million to fund their research. All of these magnificent research projects you're hearing about, they are funded primarily by grants that the faculties pursue. So we've generated $60 million as a start to fund the magnificent research that you're hearing about across the faculties. So we are pointing in the right direction. Yes, we are cutting expenditure, but we're also growing revenues by a specific focus on income generation. Here at St. Augustine, we are in an excellent circumstance given the background I have stated. I want to celebrate the principal for her leadership of this campus in the year in review. Because good leadership is all about banding together with your faculties and your students and setting the right environment to get the work done. And there is no doubt the work is being done at St. Augustine campus. You do not produce 45 PhD students by sitting on your laurels. It requires that there has to be in the faculties an optimism to help the next generation, to take those young people, groom them and train them and carry them through that process to graduation. Only a healthy faculty environment can produce that number of graduate students. It requires a healthy environment, a committed environment. I'm also very excited by the movement towards gender equity on this campus. When I saw that the deans, our female colleagues, are taking up responsibility for the deanship, for the headships. And there was a time, when we had to be corralling and begging our female colleagues to take up some responsibilities for the faculties and the departments. But now at this campus, you are providing the leadership. And I think maybe because, Principal, you being who you are, that sends a powerful message as well. That yes, you can be a good administrator and you can be a good academic. You can become an efficient, effective professor while providing leadership at the departmental and the faculty level. And I think that's an important lesson which we are seeing here. I was very excited, Principal, when at the recent heads of governments meeting in Guyana, President Ali was singing the praise of this campus. and all the wonderful things that the government of Guyana has planned for this campus. And I note he indicated he was going to be working with you to set up a medical school, an engineering school in Essequibo. Now, he was able to make that statement because the prior week I gave a speech in which I made it clear that Essequibo is part of us. Essequibo is not a part of any neighboring country. Essequibo is an indivisible part of the Caribbean and of CARICOM. So it's not a frontier. And I wish to reaffirm, we stand by Caribbean unity. And Essequibo is a part of CARICOM, an indivisible part. And I can share with you that about 20 years ago, I went to give a lecture in Caracas at the Simon Bolivar University. And when I was invited to the podium to speak, and I looked back, and I saw a map on the wall. And the map of Venezuela included Essequibo and Trinidad and Tobago. And there is no way that I was going to give that speech without making it perfectly clear that I am standing here as a UWI scholar. And you see that on the wall? We will have to go back to the battlefields. So we have to be clear, and I think Guyana is reaching out to this campus. It has produced the president. He is a very proud alumnus of your campus. And his wife. And yes, so that bridge is being built. I celebrate the work on the cocoa research, innovation, and the manufacturing. To move that research through to innovation and into production is an indication of the entrepreneurial spirit that is taking root at St. Augustine and will be a standard for the future for all of our other campuses. So, Principal, your report to our council indicates the academic and the entrepreneurial health of this enterprise here at St. Augustine within the context of the university's overall plan. I noted, and I should emphasize, that while the university has done reasonably well in raising international funds for research, that St. Augustine campus is the lead campus of the 5 in this regard. And I think you should be clapped for that. By setting that standard in the revenue revolution, we note that colleagues here have taken this issue of financial sustainability of the enterprise very seriously. You are now an activist university in that regard, and it augurs very well for the future. And I wish to thank you for providing this leadership, not only to the campus, but I wish to thank all of you academics, administrators here at St. Augustine, those students as well, for providing leadership for the entire UWI. Thank you, and looking forward to hearing even more about the magnificent developments on this campus as we proceed. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. So at this point, we'll transition to the question and answer segment, and I invite the campus registrar, Dr. Dawn Marie DeFugil, to take us through this section.
Thank you, Chair. As the Chair mentioned, my name is Dawn Marie DeFugil. I'm the campus registrar, and I'll be moderating this section. Firstly, I want to thank members of the media for joining us in person as well as online. The live stream audience comprises of the public as well as, which includes members of staff and the public from across the region. I'll now open the floor to questions, and I know that we have assistance with respect to asking the questions or to post it online, and we also have from the room. Let me ask that the questions in the room be fielded first. So I will open the floor to the members of council to ask questions about the presentations that we heard this morning. Okay, so let's move to the online questions.
The first question from online. What is the campus doing differently to improve the safety of students on campus?
Okay, thank you. But of course, we have, with the rest of the communities in the country, increased our measures in relation to security. That is number one priority for us. And we've always had a very active, disciplined, and hardworking security department. I think it was headed by Ms. Andrea Corbett, who's here with us this evening. But we've done a few more things. We've increased campus lighting, which is, of course, important. And we also, in addition to our normal shuttles, we've now hired a full-time shuttle coordinator, and we've put in these devices, tracking devices and monitoring devices in them to assist in monitoring and the patrols. The patrols themselves, in terms of manpower walking the campus, that has increased. Of course, we've always had a buddy system where you can get security to walk with you. And security, of course, is students and staff, and you can call on security to accompany you, but we've enhanced those as well. And some other things like the CCTV systems, which is now 24/7 monitoring. And I want to thank the Trinidad and Tobago police in this regard, who really are very good partners with us. They work very closely with our own security officers. So, but we also want to say that we continue to stress to both students and staff that security is sort of dual responsibility. So we ask students to walk in groups, don't sort of take unnecessary risks. And so far, we've had relatively incident-free in terms of security. We hope we can continue in that vein. But we've done, I think, much more than before because we know there's increased risk.
Another question from online. Was any study or comparison done to look at how functional classes and exams were when you were fully online and compared to when you are face-to-face?
Well, it might be, we have done a lot of drilling down into the experience of the COVID online, which I'm not too sure we have scientists in the room to see whether that those are really good comparators, because we were all under so much stress during the COVID to see how it performed. In fact, we did notice, as I think it was already reported in the press, that we saw some increased failures right after the COVID, and we had to take measures to address those. It's mixed. I think initially, and in terms of studies, yes, we did statistics, we knew performance and so on, but also in terms of psychologically, what you heard about the mental health side I mentioned, but we also recognized that it was sort of fluid. There was initially perhaps many students felt, oh, we love online. But increasingly, many students have said that they also want to have face-to-face. So these things probably is a bit too early to measure entirely, but we are continuing. We do have an office of planning, COPIR, and they do a number of surveys and so on together with marketing. So we have a pretty good sense. Of course, the fully online is not an option for us at this point in time, but you would have noticed from the presentations that all of the faculties are moving towards the blended mode. So there's a sort of a compromise approach.
Thank you.
Online, what other areas are you looking to introduce new programs for?
I'm not sure I understand the other areas. I think this morning, this is an online question, so I'm not too sure if they had the benefit of the presentation from the deans when it was asked. But you would have heard many, many new programs from our deans, several, really. And what I thought was encouraging is that we are not just going out there willy-nilly and creating new courses and programs. We are working with industry, we're working with the governments and policymakers to ensure that what we offer is relevant and either adjusting or substituting for those that we think are not as relevant anymore. So this is a continuous process. At the university, we do have well-established quality assurance mechanisms at this university, which are highly prized. The settle that I mentioned before, and every faculty, every department is assessed every 3 or 4 years, a quality assurance review, and they go through all of these issues about relevance, cost efficiencies, and so on. So we feel we have a good handle on it.
Thank you, Prof. Just 3 more questions from online. What is the status of salary negotiations for OWTU and WIGUT staff?
Yes, still a big issue for us. They are ongoing. We've had a happy lull in the sense that we're working very harmoniously with the unions. Well, I am working more directly with WIGUT at this point in time, but OWTU as well. We're working with them, and we feel we are making progress. I don't think I have anything yet to report to you because the progress thus far is more of a confidential nature, but I can assure you up to this week, we were meeting with unions, and this is an ongoing process. We still hope to have a very satisfactory resolution. I personally want to say that I think that my staff is well deserving of adequate salaries. You saw the tremendous work that is happening on the campus, and we're doing everything in our power to ensure, because it's not just a question of having salaries, it's also a question that we have begun to see high attrition rates where people move on to greener pastures because of low salaries, and that will affect our quality assurance in the long run. We won't be able to maintain this excellent standard if that happens. So it's really a question also of what the university can do, not for itself, but also for the country, if we aren't able to retain our staff. And of course, we've cut posts, we've cut several posts, we've done lots of cost-saving measures over the last 8 years. There's no more fat to trim. So we are down to bare bones in terms of our staff. And when you have a shortage of staff, not only does it affect the quality assurance, but also you get staff that are overburdened and mentally stressed out. So we do hope that this salary issue can be resolved satisfactorily, because if it is, I think everybody benefits, the country as well as staff here.
Thank you. What strategies has the UWI St. Augustine put into place so that students are able to have easy access to employment upon completion of their bachelor degree programs, particularly for programs within the Faculty of Humanities and Education and Sports?
Well, we have a world of work, but I think I should ask the dean, and if there are other deans who want to chip in, because we have a world of work, but you would have heard that the faculties themselves are working on it. So maybe Dean Hackshaw, you want to?
Thank you, Principal. As I mentioned, we are going to start our industry liaison committee this semester, but that being said, the departments have sort of worked, there are 7 departments within the faculty, and each department works on placing their students into their own internships or into trying to get them into jobs. What I'm trying to do is to pull all of that together now and have a more systematic approach to it. So it's not to say we haven't been placing students, but it has not been done in a way that we have, or at least the faculty dean has oversight of the entire process. And we do recognize that one of the ways to attract students into the humanities is for them to see not just necessarily what their particular discipline leads them to. It's no longer history leads you to history, but you need to think about how that discipline can translate into other careers. So they need to think creatively about it. One other thing I would mention, Principal, is that we're trying to also start teaching students about possibilities for careers throughout their academic experience. So not just at the beginning, not just at the end, but also having career days throughout, and we know the campus does that as well. well. But we think we have to almost educate our students now about the possibility of the careers that are out there for the humanities. It's not a strict translation from one to the other. Thank you, Principal.
Wonderful, and you would have heard from, I think, Dean Coburn and Dean Oliveira about the internships, increased internships. I'm going to ask any dean to speak, but also you heard about the fact that the ones in sport, I don't know if Dean Mansing is still with us, they snapped them up once they graduated. Dean Coburn, you wanted that?
Yep, thank you, Principal. Just to say that developing a framework for structured internships, I would have mentioned increasing the number of students who experience an internship from about 2 to 3% 5 years ago up to 25% now, and aiming for even higher. It's one of the key ways in which employers experience the competencies, the capabilities of UE students. Many of them surprised at just how capable UE students are, computing and IT in particular, but across all the disciplines within the faculty. This is the main thrust to support the employability of our graduates. Thank you.
Any other dean wants to chip in? This is an important one.
The Faculty of Engineering, through its outreach unit, has embarked on, in fact, compiling a comprehensive list of potential employers to take on interns. In fact, what we did a few years ago was we started a 3-credit professional internship course that allows students to register for the course and go out and join an organization, get 3 credits, and in addition get a stipend and work for 3 months during the summer between level 2 and level 3, or when they graduate to be able to join an organization. In fact, one of the things that I've been doing over the last few months is meeting with employers. Only a few days ago, I met with Heineken St. Lucia about recruiting female graduates to work at the Heineken brewery. And so those are the kinds of things we're doing. We're making it comprehensive. We're making it across the region so that what we have is a much more structured set of engagement for all of our students in the Faculty of Engineering.
I see my Director of Graduate Studies, Prof. Sarah, wanted to say something.
Yeah, thank you, Principal. Actually, OJT division from the Ministry of Labor, they had a meeting with the Graduate Studies and Research to discuss on the career mapping for our undergraduate as well as the postgraduate students, because they have been training 4,000 students, the graduates, to place in different industries to train them for 2 years, and also their intention is to increase to 6,000 graduates. And so they have been working with the Graduate Studies, and I have also circulated that information to the faculty deans. So we will be working more to see where our graduates can be placed after their degree, either in the industries, and also their interest is not only to train them for the region, but also to make them prepare for the global industries as well. So this is just for information.
Thank you. I'm told Dean Mansing wanted to chip in briefly.
Indeed, Principal, there was a question about sport, and as you mentioned that, our first set of graduates picked up very quickly. But just to point out that there's a lot of need for sports specialists in the region. And one thing we do advise our students is that they can go further than the bachelor's degree. They become biomechanists, they can become sports physiologists, they can become sports nutritionists, etc. And we have the programs for them to continue at the master's and higher level. Number 2, with all the sporting activities that we spoke of on the campus, with the Super 50, with the first class cricket, we had the under 20 Canadian football team based at UWI. Our students get an opportunity to be embedded with those teams and actually do practical work and show their worth. And a lot of them do get their internships with that as well. So there's exposure, there's guidance, and there's advocacy with the ministry and the sport company to ensure that they have some sort of future planning.
Thank you. Great. Oh, come out.
Yes.
Well, just in fairness, I'll give you 1 minute, Prof. Yes.
Thank you, Principal. In the Faculty of Food and Agriculture, what we have done, we we formed the Faculty Advisory Board, where we have 3 private sector CEOs, and from there, and other professional, bodies, and from there we are channeling a way clearly for internship for our students. And yesterday, just yesterday, we had a meeting with ICA and CABI where we were discussing this. And so what CABI, ICA, and other organizations want to do with us is to get the students through an internship, and from there employ them as junior professionals, and from there they will have a clear career path. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues, and thank you to the online audience and to the media. We will end the question and answer section right now, and I will hand over to the chair to bring the open session to a close.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for attending. Oh, sorry, I hadn't turned on my mic. But I thank everyone for attending this morning, and to those who are coming in online, thank you for also being in attendance. I think this was a very informative session for all of us, and I thank all the speakers, the Vice Chancellor, all the deans, and the principal. And until next year, we're going to close, to those who are, we're going to a closed session after lunch. Thank you all again.